I love bright spots in the news, especially related to cases that are not bright spots. I think right now we're in a situation in the United States where we are craving leadership. We are craving effective resistance against fascism in this country. I know I am. I don't know about you. But the Supreme Court ruled yesterday, really leaning in and giving Donald Trump a whole bunch of power, and they were doing it administratively or, technically, they got us on a technicality. Yeah, these people deserve due process. These migrants that are being abused, their human rights stripped away, sent away to foreign countries to languish in prisons. No due process, no proof of that they're gang members, no proof of the claim, just they're being sent away. They said, yeah, they deserve due process, but they have to seek habeas corpus in their particular location where they were arrested. Not in DC. So yeah, he can continue to abuse their rights, but they don't have to be sent back. It's just ridiculous. And in this decision, in the dissent, Ketanji Brown Jackson just absolutely lambasted the court itself, lambasted the current makeup of the court and what they're doing. How dangerous it is. And in these moments, we should all coalesce to support moments like this, to support one another and encourage each other to stand up, to raise our voice, to lift our voice, to organize, to activate, to send a message. I'm going to read a headline and a couple of paragraphs from the New York Times describing the particular decision yesterday that came down, the cowardice of the 5-4 decision. And then I'm going to read from Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent directly from the Supreme Court decision. Here's the New York Times headline. Supreme Court clears way for Venezuelan deportations to resume for now. A majority of the justices concluded that the Venezuelan migrants had brought their cases in the wrong court, but they were entitled to an opportunity to challenge their removal. Sorry, it's a technicality. Sorry, the technicality is more important than your rights as a human being, than the Constitution of the United States itself and the rights that are protected by it, even for migrants who exist in this country. The Supreme Court ruled on Monday night that the Trump administration could continue to deport Venezuelan migrants using a Wartime Powers Act for now, overturning a lower court that had put a temporary stop to the deportations. The decision marks a victory for the Trump administration, although the ruling did not address the constitutionality of using the Alien Enemies Act to send the migrants to a prison in El Salvador. The justices instead issued a narrow procedural ruling saying that the migrants' lawyers had filed their lawsuit in the wrong court. That's cowardice. That is giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, something that he does not deserve. That is giving Donald Trump undue power. That is, what would you expect from this particular Supreme Court that says he could murder a political rival and not face any criminal prosecution? Because he's the president. He is a king. He is indeed the dear leader by Supreme Court proclamation. The justices said it should have been filed in Texas, where the Venezuelans are being held, rather than a court in Washington. All 9 justices agreed that the Venezuelan migrants detained in the United States must receive advance notice and the opportunity to challenge their deportations before they could be removed. Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote in a concurrence. And here is Justice Jackson's dissent. Beautifully written, wonderfully worded, and it is an absolute attack on what is taking place in the court through procedural and otherwise means to give Donald Trump unchecked power. Unchecked power. Unfucking checked power. The Supreme Court is one of those checks, and they, like Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives, like the Senate, are just they're abdicating their role as a co-equal branch of government, giving Donald Trump unchecked power. This is the dissent. Justice Jackson dissenting, I join Justice Sotomayor's dissent in full and would deny the application for all the reasons she explains. I write separately to question the majority's choice to intervene on the eve of the district court's preliminary injunction hearing without scheduling an argument or receiving a merits briefing. This fly-by-night approach to the work of the Supreme Court is not only misguided, it is also dangerous. The President of the United States has invoked a centuries-old wartime statute to whisk people away to a notoriously brutal foreign-run prison. For lovers of liberty, this should be quite concerning. Surely, the question of whether such government action is consistent with our Constitution and laws warrants considerable thought and attention from the judiciary. That was why the district court issued a temporary restraining order to prevent immediate harm to the targeted individuals while the court considered the lawfulness of the government's conduct. But this court now sees fit to intervene, hastily dashing off a 4-paragraph per curiam opinion, discarding the district court's order based solely on a new legal pronouncement that one might have thought would require significant deliberation. When this court decides complex and monumental issues, it typically allows the lower courts to address those matters first. It then receives full briefing, hears oral argument, deliberates internally, and finally issues a reasoned opinion. Those standard processes may not always yield correct results, but when we deviate from them, the risk of error always substantially increases. Today's rushed conclusion that those challenging the government's action can only pursue their claims through habeas is Exhibit A. I lament that the court appears to have embarked on a new era of procedural variability and that it has done so in such a casual, inequitable, and in my view, inappropriate manner. And then she goes on and quotes some other things. Look, this is the kind of energy that we need to bring to this fight. We need to model our behavior on that of Ketanji Brown Jackson, calling her own institution out for what it's doing, calling these fascists out for allowing Donald Trump to act as though he is a god king. He is a demigod. He is the cult leader. The dear leader can do no wrong. We must not question him. That's what we're getting from the United States Supreme Court right now. It's certainly what we're getting from the House of Representatives. It's certainly what we're getting from the Senate, even some members of the Democratic Party within the United States Senate. Talking to you, Chuck Schumer. If political leaders are not going to be there for us, we must rise up ourselves. Luckily for us, there are a handful who are ready for this fight, who have the stomach for this fight. And you can count Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Elena Kagan, Sotomayor, you can count them among. I mean, look, to her credit, I don't know, we need to twist ourselves in knots trying to give credit to Amy Coney Barrett. She was on the dissenting side of this opinion. She does have some appetite for liberty, some ability to distance herself from her dear leader. I mean, if you looked at the face she gave him during his presidential address in the Congress, maybe it was a harbinger of things to come. Anyway, I invite you to this conversation. What do you think? Where do you disagree? All of these things can be discussed in the comments. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work that I do right here on this channel, on my podcast. You can become a channel member by clicking the join button below. $1.99 a month is how you can help out. I would appreciate it very much. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. You can go to Dollemore.com, buy a t-shirt or a mug or a book. All those things go a long way to supporting the work we do here. Follow me on social media. If you're there, I am at Dollemore, and I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.